Let's take example of the gravity. So gravity is good. Because of gravity we are on the earth, right? Because of gravity there is hydroelectricity. But because of gravity, if you fall from a building, a person can die. Same principle applicable to anyone and everyone, but one leads to good outcome, one leads to not so good outcome. So the Vyavaharika Satyam, the transactional reality, is driven by law of karma. Sometimes we get into a wrong end, sometimes we get into the right end, and therefore the need to understand how the entire principle operates. Namaste. My name is Bidhan. 2012 is when I chanced upon Upanishads, and it had a profound impact on my life. Since then, I have dreamt to bring the key aspects of Upanishads in a manner which is simple, relatable, and implementable in our daily lives. So here we are with a set of videos to make spirituality simple.
Hi Bidhan.
Hello.
So we're back with another set of questions that your viewers have posted to you, and
Right.
I'm just being their voice today.
Great. Before we move on with these questions, to all our viewers who have shown interest in being a part of our programs, please fill in the details which is in the Google form in the description below. Thank you.
All right, I think we'll just get right to it.
Right.
A viewer has said, when we realize that we are not the body and mind that we identify with, then won't life lose its meaning? Meaning, why work? Why have children? Why have ambition? Why to even take care of your health? Why love? Why have affection for anyone? If after all, our own identity is a myth, right? What is the motivation for going forward? Why have any ethics? Why have morality when everything is all a dream?
Nice.
I think we started off with a bang.
The point here is that if I identify myself as the consciousness, the non-doer, then what is the point of anything at all? Because everything is mithya.
Yeah.
Then why do I even need to engage with anything, right? There are two ways we will try and answer this. The first one is look at real life examples. Look at people who are enlightened. Look at Swami Vivekananda. I see my own guru. I see that they continue to work, but they are not working to fulfill something. They are working out of fulfillment.
Okay.
Right? They are not driven by the need to accomplish or complete themselves. They are
Not working towards a goal. Like.
There is a goal.
Okay.
There is a goal. There is a goal to uplift the mankind, right? But they are not identified or attached. In a very simple words, they are fulfilled. They are complete. So they are not trying to do something to complete themselves. But the karma is still there. They continue to work. They continue to work out of fulfillment, out of happiness, right? So the work never stops. And when you are complete, when you understand your inherent nature is complete, when you understand that your inherent nature is joy, then you approach things in life very differently. Because see, most of the time we are driven out of what? We are driven out of raga and dvesha. Means either we like something or we dislike something. So either we aspire to move towards things that's something that we like, or move away from things which we dislike. And therefore we get into that karmic loop, right? But once you get enlightened, or someone who is enlightened is not doing out of raga and dvesha. They are doing it as a service. They are doing it as, I don't want to use words to kind of explain what they are doing, but the point which I'm trying to say here is that you will basically feel one with everything, and whatever you do from that space, you will not stop doing things. You will continue to do what you're doing.
Right.
But it will not be driven from a certain set of desires to accomplish.
Rather, you're already feeling fulfilled, and you're sort of just bringing that to the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the point here is that you will not lose the meaning of life. You will actually understand the meaning of life.
Wow.
You will understand life itself, and you'll know that you are life yourself. Once you kind of understand your essence, which is divine, spiritual, complete, That's the first point. The second point here is when you say that when I understand that I am spiritual, right?
Not the body and mind.
Not the body and mind. When we are saying I, have we understood or inquired in that I-ness itself, right? Most of the time when we are saying I am consciousness, that itself can be perceived in two ways. Saying that I is consciousness is also wrong, because when we are looking at I, we are looking at a sense of agency. We are looking at ahankara, loosely called ego, right? That sense of I-ness is sometimes what we call it as divine, which is wrong. See, the point is that feeling of self is also a state of your mind. Sometimes that feeling of self is there, or that ahankara is there, or sense of agency is there, or sometimes it's not there. So let me ask you, has it ever happened to you that you have gone in a very serene, beautiful place and you have just lost yourself?
Yeah. I mean, you sort of feel one with the place.
With
the
place,
nature,
right?
You're out, yeah.
You're not saying that, Preeti, I am watching this beautiful space, or I am watching this beautiful mountain. You just feel one with it. Because at that point of time, your feeling of your identity suddenly drops. And when the identity drops, you feel one with everything. And this happens to each one of us. Whenever that happens, I will request people to kind of think what happened. And you will understand that the sense of self suddenly drops and you feel unity with everything around it. Which goes to say that this sense of self, this ahankara, this sense of agency also comes and goes. And once that drops, the question itself will not be there. Once you become one with everything around, I think you will work from a different state. You will not sort of lose. I mean, you will not lose yourself, rather.
Right. I think you're saying that you would work from a different state of mind. It's not that you would lose your ambition or your, taking care of your health or having affection for others. It's just that you yourself will be working from a different state of mind.
Yeah, from a different plane altogether.
Right. Yeah.
Right. State of mind, again, I mean, there are complications in the way we explain. State of mind, again, kind of get into. But yeah, you will work from a very different plane. And the best is to look examples of people around whom we consider enlightened. Have they lost their zeal in life? They become life themselves.
Yeah. Awesome. So I don't know if this is an actual question, but we had a comment. It says, it's very bookish. People with moksha they know the mystery.
Okay, so you're referring to the point that the session that we had on what is moksha.
Yeah.
So there's a comment that this is very bookish.
This is all bookish, but people who actually know moksha, they are the only ones who know the mystery.
Okay. I mean, see, you have passed a comment that it is very bookish. It's okay. I mean, if you feel it is bookish, it's bookish. Now, I don't know if the question is that, is this merely a bookish understanding, or moksha is a real thing? That is another question. But if you have already made a statement that this is bookish, okay, this is bookish.
Yeah, I think it basically trying to say that unless you experience moksha or attain moksha, then everything else seems bookish. That's what the...
Possible. See, the point here is that we are talking from Upanishads, right? And there they have clearly defined, and in Bhagavad Gita also they have sort of given glimpses of what moksha, or what something similar like sthita prajna is all about. How does a person behave when they reach a certain level of enlightenment? Now, have I achieved it? The answer is not completely. Are all of us work in progress? The answer is yes. But what we are trying to say in this set of videos is that there are certain things that we have personally experienced. There are certain things we are taking it as truth, basis what has been mentioned in Upanishads, in Bhagavad Gita. And that is what been told.
Perfect. All right. I think that leads to the next question very beautifully. Dharma has, when we spoke about Artha Kama, we did a whole episode on that,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I think this was a comment on that video. Dharma is misdescribed specifically in the comment that pursuing Dharma does not give contentment by grouping Dharma with Artha and Kama.
No, I read a couple of comments on those and valid. So what some of the viewers have mentioned that we cannot put Dharma as or group it
Along with Artha
and Kama. See, if you listen to the video carefully, and I knew these questions may come, and therefore I have very clearly qualified in the video saying that if you consider Dharma in a very narrow sense, exactly the word that I have said, that if you consider Dharma in a very narrow sense, to do something good, to earn punyam, then that does not lead to moksha. Right? So if we narrowly define Dharma as getting some brownie points by doing right things so that the gods becomes happy, so it is as good as Artha, right? Why do you earn money? You earn money so that you can have a lot of Kama.
So instead of earning money, you're saying you're earning goodwill.
merits, right? So if we look at Dharma from that narrow point of view, that understanding does not help you in moksha, and that is what I have mentioned. However, the comment is correct. Dharma comes from a root word dhar, right? Which is something that holds everything together. So we have to understand there are three layers. It starts from Satya. From Satya it comes to Rita. From Rita it comes to Dharma. So Dharma in itself has a very large understanding. It talks about how everything, it talks mostly about an order. So Dharma is a much larger concept.
Right.
And he is right by mentioning that if you look at a larger picture, if you understand Dharma in its true sense, aligning yourself with Dharma will help you reach to moksha. That's absolutely correct. But in video what has been explained is that if at all we look Dharma from a very narrow perspective, it does not lead to moksha. I hope it is clear right now.
It is. And I think also if you're just starting to understand these concepts, I think understanding it from that narrow point is where we start, right?
Slowly we will expand.
Yeah.
We will have the entire, we just started, we just scratched the surface.
Right.
We'll go a lot deeper into each and every concept as we go by.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Another viewer says, Madam Host, okay, that's me. Please ask this. Your understanding, you have said that God appears, God is one and we all appear as, these are different, what do we say?
Manifestations
of God. That was the video.
Yeah.
Now he or she says that, why is God appearing as terrorists and criminals? What fun does God derive by taking the form of terrorists or criminals?
If you refer to the previous video where we have actually taken this topic in detail.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it again.
Spoke about evil.
We spoke about evil, that why evil exists even
Right.
if there is all compassionate God all over. But since you have brought it up, we'll kind of try and quickly cover this. If you see a God as a separate being, someone like us sitting up in heaven and punishing us for our sins, then it's very difficult to justify that why there is so much of evil, right? Why going so far? Simply look at evolution. When you look at evolution, you will see that the species simply goes extinct if they are unable to adapt. You go to a jungle, you will see one animal feeding on the another animal. So one can always ask that why is nature so cruel? Right? Why didn't God create everyone like plants so that nobody kills anyone and everybody makes their own self-sustaining food? So these questions can be a lot of these questions. Why there is a tectonic shift which creates fire, which so many people die? Or if you see God as a separate entity, it will become very difficult for us to understand this point. And then it's difficult to understand this. But what Upanishads are trying to say, it is trying to show us there are three levels of reality. It is coming from an absolute level. from paramarthika level. So when we spoke last time, when you look at a movie, while movie looks as an entertainment to us, but these are various shades of light.
Yeah.
Right? So Upanishads are saying from the point of view of light or from a perspective of light, there is only light.
Right.
Those are mere appearances. It has no meaning. So when they are saying that you are God, they are not referring to this body and mind and ahankara, the feeling of self as God. They are saying there's an underlying principle called Ishwara. Right? That principle is same within all of us.
Right.
That adhisthana. Right? So that itself is God. They are coming from that level. They are coming from an absolute level.
Right.
But what happens is for you and me, we are trying to analyze this statement from a space of duality. I am seeing myself separate from you, from this universe, and assuming there is a separate God who is supposed to manage this life or this world. So that is where the problem happens. So please understand, when Upanishads are talking about you are the God or you are the manifestation of God, it is talking from an absolute level.
Right.
Right? That you are that light which is appearing as the movie and all the characters in the movie are nothing but various shades of light. When you come down to the transactional reality, which is called Vyavaharika Satyam, where you have now identified yourself with this body, everybody has identified oneself with that body, then karma starts. Right? And when the karma starts, then there is an outcome of an action. So there is a specific way the universe operates. Say, let's take example of the gravity. So gravity is good. Because of gravity, we are on the earth.
Right.
Because of gravity, there is hydroelectricity. But because of gravity, if you fall from a building, a person can die.
Yeah.
Same principle applicable to anyone and everyone, but one leads to good outcome, one leads to not so good outcome. So the Vyavaharika Satyam, the transactional reality, is driven by law of karma. Sometimes we get into a wrong end, sometimes we get into the right end, and therefore the need to understand how the entire principle operates. See, ultimately, what is the aim? What are Upanishads trying to say? That get out of the transactional reality and come to the Paramarthika Satyam.
Right. And you had also mentioned that it's not just our karma, it's also the karma of the universe, of everything around us.
Yeah, there's a collective karma that also plays out. We are a function of collective karma. There is a lot that has been happening, and we try and give a very simplistic application or understanding of law of karma. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It is very complicated.
I think that's what we have to delve into next.
We'll delve into karma and how it works, and you'll see the complexity of it. But to answer your question, that God is not appearing as terrorist. You have created an identification with the body and mind, and therefore you are saying or you are feeling the presence of terrorist, right? Which is fine. And point, if there is something that pains you a lot, go and do something about it. See, ultimately, what is universe trying to do? It will create this sense of duality for us to transcend it ultimately.
Okay. Because unless the duality is there, then there's no transcending that happens.
No transcending that happens, and then you'll ask that why did duality happen on the first place? I don't have an answer to that. Nobody has. I don't know if anybody has. Sorry.
All right. So we move on to our next question. Bidan, how can we perform in this materialistic world, which is quite a hard place to live in? How can we be spiritual in this world?
Right.
Please make an entire video on that, they say.
Yes. So in the previous video, I think we have spoken about the challenges of spirituality, and of course, the world it's not an easy place to be or to own up to your essential nature, because you have to be a part of the Vyavaharika Satyam or the transactional reality before you sort of move on that place. So when we pick up Karma Yoga, I feel that's something that will resonate with you, with a lot of people, where how can we try and continue to do our life and yet make our actions spiritual in nature? And something that we'll discuss.
Perfect. Something practical.
Something very practical.
Thank you.
I mean, this is not theoretical what we have learned so far, but
no,
whatever.
Like something that will help me in my day-to-day life.
Sure, we'll do that.
This is again not a question, it's a comment. I think we had an episode which spoke about if God is one, then why are there so many gods and goddesses?
Right.
So this was a comment in that. I think this viewer has just mentioned, kindly use the word Ishwara instead of God. We have devatas and not millions of gods. Ishwara is a non-translatable word.
Okay. See, when I've used the word Ishvara, sometimes I've used the word God. When I'm going to use the word Ishvara, it has to be understood with reference to Maya.
Okay.
Right? See, Ishvara is a very technical word. The gentleman or gentlewoman is right, saying that we should be using the word Ishvara, but we need to also understand what is Ishvara, because Ishvara in itself is a big concept. It's like Brahman with Maya is Ishvara, and when that Maya manifests into this Jagat, so Brahman with the Jagat becomes Paramatma. So all these words have a specific meaning. Ishvara, Paramatma. See, the point here is that when we are talking about these concepts, the idea is to get the feel of it. We can always talk about these technicalities. There is nothing wrong in it, and I do appreciate from where someone is coming from. But if we are able to get the essence to start with, it is fine.
Then that's a good place to be at.
Good place to start with, and again, at the cost of repetition, we are going to delve into this very deeply.
Yeah.
We will take up these topics, that what is Ishvara in its truest essence, what is Maya, and why Brahman can be called as Ishvara.
Right.
And how does Brahman become this world?
Wow.
What role does Maya play? So all these things will pick it up. So I understand from where you're coming. For some time, just allow me to use these words so that we can just get the essence right.
Yeah. So I think, like you said, it's a technicality.
Yeah.
For certain people, like even like me, just using the word God is more like I can understand it better than giving me, like if you say Ishvara, then you're saying already that Ishvara itself has a bigger, essence to it.
Yeah.
I think,
it's like talking between Adhyatma and spirituality, right? I mean, the real word is Adhyatma. We have spoken that Adhyatma is the actions that Adhyatma in itself has Atma in it, something that helps you come closer to your essential nature. But spirituality is a word which will resonate.
We all understand better.
Right.
Perfect. All right. I think this was one of our very first videos, and one of the comments says, great explanation. You said work out of happiness rather than work for happiness, right? So can you please explain that with an example? Like, how do I reach that state of mind to be content and to be at constant peace?
Okay. So let's take an example. So there are two people, suppose you and me, we are working in a company.
Okay.
And I have already taken up a housing loan and I have to pay my EMIs. Kids' education is also to be taken care of. And you, on the other hand, come from a background where you are not necessarily bothered about the financial security. It's well taken care of. So tomorrow, when both of us look at a specific work and there is a lot of stress, who will get stressed more, you or me?
You. Yeah.
Why? Because my livelihood depends upon that job.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for me to push back my manager and say, I don't like what you're saying. I don't like the way you're behaving. Because for me, my livelihood depends upon that.
Right.
But for you, since you are working from a certain sense of safety and security, you can push back when you don't feel good about certain things. You can always put it out and say, I don't like it. Right? So if you see that my actions is stemming out from fear, that maybe I am doing this job because I need this job, not because I like it. But you, since you are financially secure, you are doing this job not because you have to make money, but for all you know, because you like this job.
Right.
So you are working out of safety and I'm working
for
safety. Right? Similarly, when we understand our essential nature as Atman, which is complete, which is fulfilled, then the actions that we do we don't do it for the need to get certain benefits out of it instantaneously. Some sort of validation or some sort of a pat on my back. I am doing it because I think that's the right thing to do, but I'm already fine. I'm fine. I'm okay if things do not happen the way I expect it to do, because I am safe. I'm assured. So that is called working out of happiness. And once you know your essential nature as an Atman, then honestly, nothing really matters.
Right.
You are in that state where you're fulfilled, you're complete, you're joyous, you're happy, and you're doing everything from that space rather than for the need to make myself happy, joyous, fulfilled.
Right. And like we already mentioned, that line keeps moving, right?
Right. There's no dependency then.
Awesome. Okay, one final question. A viewer again says, my only wish is to go about my daily activities remaining in this state, which we just spoke about also, and not to get identified as the doer or the experiencer.
Right. See, we are not conditioned to be in this state, which is what we have spoken about in our challenges to spirituality. We are conditioned to get immediately identified with my body and mind. That's how we are. And as soon as we get identified with my body and mind, then automatically I feel one minuscule in the entire universe, and all the action stems out of fear.
Right.
The need to complete, the need to achieve, the need to get something. And that's how we are leading our life. That's how karma starts, right? Which means that if I need to go to this state where I'm not identified all the time, it requires certain amount of work. It will not happen by itself. It can happen by grace of Guru or God. I'm not saying it will not, but for most of us, we may have to do a little bit of work. And that's what in the previous episodes we have spoken about, a concept of Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. We need to listen, look into, remind ourselves of this on a continuous basis. Also reflect on what has been taught, and more importantly, engage in certain practices on a daily basis that helps me experience, even for a few minutes, that the feeling of oneness, right? And also have a certain amount of Sangha or set of people that you can talk to and resonate with, and have certain Sayyam, certain amount of patience, right? So if we have all of it, I am 100% sure that over a period of time, we will slowly start getting into that space. And
I think the key word there is over a period of time.
Over a period of time.
Yeah.
So Swami Paramatmanandaji very beautifully says, he says a principle called FIR. He says if you are getting into a spiritual path, the frequency of your mental disturbances will reduce, the intensity will also reduce, and recovery will be very quick.
Wow. FIR.
FIR. He says FIR. That frequency, intensity will
reduce, and
recovery will be faster. But there cannot be an immediate moksha. It takes time. It works. We are all work in progress. We will eventually go there. By using the spiritual practices, we are only speeding up this process.
Awesome. I think with that, I come to the end of all the questions that I picked up from the comments.
Right.
I think this whole series has been great. I can't wait for the next series to start.
All right. And yeah, the next series, we are going to talk a lot on karma. And how it affects us on a daily life, and how we can inculcate certain practices that helps us make our daily life spiritual without making adjustments, too much of adjustments in our life.
All right.
Thank you, Preeti. It was nice having you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vedant.
Thank you. And to all our viewers, do not forget to like, comment, and share with friends and families who may benefit from these conversations. And all of you who are interested in being a part of our workshops, please fill in the details in the Google form mentioned in the description. Thank you so much.